Hey, what's happening guys, Chris here, and today we're going to be checking out another gun in Battlefield 1. This one's going to be all about the Automatico M1918, which is a speedy little weapon that can be equipped for the assault class. So the Automatico M1918, or the Beretta model 1918 should I say, is a fully automatic Italian submachine gun, and if the name doesn't give it away, it entered service in 1918, during the final stages of World War I, and around the same time as the MP18. Now, you might be thinking that the gun looks a little bit like the Villaparosa, which is an elite weapon that can be picked up on some of the Italian maps in the game. Well, believe it or not, the Automatico M1918 is practically that weapon cut in half, as its production was requested from the Italian army to replace the cumbersome Villaparosa, which was originally classified as an aircraft-mounted submachine gun, but later issued to ground troops. The Villaparosa wasn't categorized as a true SMG, however, down to its original intention of being a vehicle-mounted weapon. The Beretta M1918 though was, and it was designed using a single barrel and a few modifications, though with a lot of similarities to the Villaparosa, including those top-mounted box magazines, both using the same 9mm cartridge, the same delay blowback action, an open bolt mechanism, and just the way it looks. The Automatico M1918 was used by the Italian armed forces, and was reported to be a reliable and durable gun, with some models even seeing action in World War II. In Battlefield 1, the Automatico M1918 is an assault loadout weapon which has 3 variants, the Factory, Trench and Storm, which are each going to require 200 war bonds to purchase. But I'm going to go over these 3 in more detail a bit later on. For now though, it's time to get those stats up and check out those figures. As far as the damage goes, the Automatico's got a maximum damage of 23, though this is going to start dropping off almost instantly at just 3 meters. And this is going to keep on dropping down all the way up to 38 meters away, where that final minimum damage figure of 12 will be dealt. So basically putting it, you're going to be able to drop someone in 5 bullets at those very close ranges, but it could take up to as much as 9 bullets if your target is beyond 38 meters. This paints us a very clear picture, showing us that the gun's obviously going to perform much better at closer ranges, and overall tells us that each bullet that the Automatico spews out doesn't really pack a hell of a lot of punch. Though when we take a look at that fire rate of the gun, this completely flips its power around and turns it into a machine capable of causing a lot of damage extremely quickly. The weapon fires at a blazing 900 RPM, which is faster than most of the other guns in the game by a long way. And so getting those 5 to 9 bullets out of the barrel and onto an enemy really isn't going to take up much time at all. You'll be able to tear right through your opponent in one-on-one gunfights, though because of its high rate of fire, there's a bit of an accuracy trade-off, as the gun's going to kick upwards with a vertical figure of 0.44 and a horizontal figure of 0.40, meaning that with great power comes great recoil. And you might notice that the Automatico isn't exactly the most controllable or accurate weapon compared to a lot of the others. That horizontal figure of 0.40 might force a lot of your shots off target, causing them to miss, making this gun a more difficult and less reliable one to use beyond those closer ranges. The muzzle velocity for each bullet is only 380 meters per second, which is slower than most of the other guns in Battlefield 1, thus making it even harder to lead targets at range 2. Not that you'll be able to accurately hit them anyway, as that recoil is probably going to be a bit too much to handle in a lot of scenarios. But this is just another reason why it's not suited for those long range shootouts. With a magazine size of 25 rounds, the Automatico is going to need to reload quite a lot. 25 rounds is a pretty low number, and when you're firing away at lightning fast speeds, those bullets are going to disappear quicker than you know it. You might be able to take out a couple of enemies with one mag, but with those combined factors of a fast fire rate and lack of accuracy causing you to miss quite a lot of shots, you're going to need to be ready to reload at all times. And although you might be able to put a player down in rapid succession, if his buddies come running over to avenge his death, you're likely going to be screwed, as you're going to be very vulnerable in between kills whilst you swap over those magazines. So taking a look at those variations, with the first being the Factory variant. This basically gives you a 50% faster recoil decrease advantage, and also gives you 50% faster spread decrease when firing from the hip. So in layman's terms, it'll recover a lot quicker from recoil when you stop firing, allowing you to start shooting again sooner from that initial starting position, making it more suited for tap and burst firing instead of holding down the trigger. This might allow you to burst shots in smaller groupings a bit better, with the gun's recoil resetting in a shorter amount of time. Though it's not going to affect the amount of recoil you'll gain, and so it's still going to seem pretty wild whenever you open fire. As for the Dredge variant, this is generally going to give you a small hipfire buff, with an overall 33% lower base spread when firing from the hip, along with a hefty 83% reduction to your first shot spread multiplier when in hipfire also. With the Automatico excelling in those closer ranges, a hipfire buff is going to be pretty useful, as you can bypass that aim down sights animation and gun down your enemies much quicker on the fly, with that improved hipfire accuracy instead. Last of all, we've got that Storm variant, which is probably going to be a lot of people's favourite choice, and in my opinion it's the most effective of the three. It directly affects the recoil pattern of the gun, lowering both the vertical and horizontal values by 30%. Upwards recoil will be reduced from 0.44 to 0.31, and those horizontal figures are going to go down to just 0.28 from 0.40. This is going to make the gun feel noticeably more controllable as a whole, and is just going to give you an overall accuracy boost, making the gun feel more stable and a lot easier to use. But anyway, overall, the Automatico M1918 submachine gun is a rapid firing weapon with a fairly weak damage model, because of its lack of power over distance. It's best suited for those close to medium range firefights, being able to absolutely destroy other players in CQC, peppering your enemies in a shower of metal, though which recoil may become a problem, and with bullet velocity, accuracy and damage at range all being negative traits, this means that the gun's not going to perform very well at all against anyone in the distance. So long as you use the Automatico within its ideal territory, then you should have some fun cutting down your opponents, providing you're quick to the trigger and providing that you're on target. Just beware of those small magazines, and get used to reloading a lot. But anyway, that's pretty much it for this one, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. Be sure to give me a like if you did, and if you want to see loads of other Battlefield 1 guides and more, then why not subscribe too, if you haven't already. So thanks for watching, take it easy, and I'll be seeing you in that next one.